All right, well, good morning, guys. Just figured I'd bring you guys along on this one, do a little ride along and a little reflecting. Um, Want to use the headset for this one just because I don't have to. I mean, I sit so far back in the truck for you to get any sort of decent audio quality. Um, if I'm not using the headset, I got to pretty much almost yell to get up over the top of the engine noise and stuff like that, and other noises as you go down the road. Um, but today is Monday morning. I think it's January 2nd now. Happy New Year. Um, so, if you've seen the last videos, we did our reset and down in about a half hour south of St. Louis. And we stayed down there because we had plenty of time to get up here. We're headed to Fargo, North Dakota. And we had plenty of time to get up here. Um, we had to get a reset in, and it just makes more sense to do it down where it's warm. So we're not idling the truck all, day after day and burning fuel and stuck in the cold and um, that that sort of a deal. So we did that. We did our reset. Um, Felt sorry for the guy. There was a guy that backed in next to me Saturday night, and come Sunday morning, he went to go leave, and I heard him about 4 or 5 times trying to cranking on the truck. It was turning over, it's rolling, and he kept getting a crank, but no start. She would not fire up. And man, that is not the way to start the new year. It was a Freightliner, newer Freightliner with, I believe that's the is that the Packard engine, the little gray motor, whatever whatever that is. I'm not too familiar with that motor. Um, just cranking, cranking, cranking though, wouldn't start. That's a that's a crappy situation, man. I felt bad for him, but it is what it is. It's the game we play. Um, so we got up Sunday and we rolled, not pushing it too hard, just kind of cruising through. We had to get through rest of Missouri. We had to get through Iowa, and we got all the way up into uh, southern Minnesota, going up on 35. We shut her down at is that Albert Lee, Minnesota. There was a little Loves there right by the Pilot, or not Pilot, the Petro. Shut her down there. I was tired. I don't know why I wasn't pushing it that hard. Just one of those things. It's like right after you've been sitting for so long, it was just kind of a day where it was like, all right, that's enough. And we put 520 miles on, and we were there by it's like 6:30 ish, somewhere around there. It's amazing how much you don't remember or realize when you used to have to do paper logs. Man, you knew exactly where you stopped. You know exactly how many miles you put down. Um, Now that that's all electronically recorded, it's kind of goes by the wayside, I think. I really don't pay attention to that anymore. But um, for all you guys that are owner ops, don't forget to be writing down your mileage. I almost forgot to year end date. How many miles you put on that rig. Um, so we got up this morning. Woke up about 4 o'clock this morning on my own because we didn't have the truck idling. I usually I do not idle this truck unless I have to. We have that um, S-bar heater, the bunk heater. That keeps me plenty warm. As long as I got the shade shut, it usually keeps it pretty warm in here. I don't even have it cranked way up. I think it's set at like 72. That usually does an initial fire up, pumps a bunch of heat for a little bit, and then it just idles down and just maintains. And that has a 10-hour timer on it. So after 10 hours, it will automatically shut off. It also will automatically shut off if you turn the key on. So you're not running that while you're running the truck. But since we shut down so early yesterday, I kicked it on just to kind of, maintain the truck. And I woke up at about 4, I assume it was about 4 in the morning, and I was freezing my giblets off. So just had to kick it back on again. Usually somewhere within the second cycle of running that thing, if you try to run that, you try to run it for a full second cycle, usually you will draw on your batteries enough that you get a what do you want to call it, like a master warning where it says, battery draw, either cycle the key on, or it's gonna turn the master switch off and shut all the power down in the whole truck, so you don't completely drain your batteries. So usually somewhere in there, you got to start the truck to, charge the batteries up a little bit. And we're going to be going the left here. We're going to be taking 35 west around Minneapolis. So kicked around for the second time, went back to sleep, and I was just kind of in and out of it a little bit. So a couple hours after that, we got up and started the truck up and let the truck warm up. Bumped the idle up a little bit once we got all our pressures up. To let her slowly gain temperature before we start pushing on her, which is always a good thing to do. One of the good things that we always did when we did hot shot was, slowly bring temperature into the motor, and then at the end of the day, slowly bring the temperature out. Don't shut the truck off, let it idle, let it cool down, let it cycle the oil through, let it cool the turbo down. All that oil is getting pushed through the turbo. The worst thing you can do is have a hot turbo from running, park it, shut it off immediately, turning off that oil pump, and now that turbo is sitting there cooking, and that oil that is in that turbo has no way to circulate and cool down. It's going to sit there and cook and cook and cook until it, eventually bleeds the temp off itself, which you're aging on that by doing that. So it's always a good thing to let it cool down. Let your oil temp. Look at this guy. This guy flipped his trailer over right on the ramp. That sucks. Always let your oil temps, kind of equal out. That's what I always did. I always let my oil temp equal out to my tranny temp if I could, and my coolant temp. When all those are pretty equal, it's pretty safe to shut it down. A little bit of residue on the road up here. They're talking about getting 4 to 6 inches today, so that's going to be fun. So we're not pushing it too hard. I'm only was cruising about 60. If it's going to be like this, I'm going to back it down just a touch. But we got a bunch of weight on, so we should be somewhat safe. You're never really safe, but so I guess we could reflect on a few things. Let's reflect on this channel first. If you've been watching, probably noticed by now, there's channels on YouTube that are clickbaity. They get awesome views because that's the game we play. I guess people like to see stuff. And the big thing about YouTube, if you haven't noticed, if you have a channel yourself, is uh, people people are on here to watch you fail. That's why if you post a video and it's something about you failed, you're quitting, someone did something to you, look at what happened, oh my God, that usually gets very high click rates. When you're posting general information to try to help folks, um, run of the mill, nothing's crazy, this is how you do this, yada, yada, yada. It's usually a lower viewed video. I get it. People are looking for entertainment. But sometimes you got to be real with people, and life isn't all about clickbait. We're trying to help people trying to get into this industry, people thinking about getting into this industry. Sometimes people, never been in this situation. Depending on what's going on, like winter driving. If you grew up in the South, chances of you doing a lot of driving in the snow are pretty slim. And then you go get in a semi and they gave you a load to Montana, well, you're in for a real eye opener, you know. So that's kind of the channel, kind of the route that I wanted my channel to go, is to help people. I don't, if you haven't been watching the videos all the way through, you might be missing a lot of stuff. I don't really give up the information right away. Some videos midway through, I'll have a little Easter egg in there or a little tad bit of information that, nothing I do is scripted. Everything I do is off the cuff, spur of the moment, and sometimes things will trickle down a path where I remember something or something comes up and I just right then and there say, hey, if you're ever doing this, this is what you need to be doing, or this is what I found helped. So I've had a few people say, hey, that's what I like about the channel is, there's tad bits of information in there and they're tucked away kind of. So if you're not paying attention, you're really not going to catch on to that stuff. But that's fine. It may not be the channel for everyone, but it's not what we're here for. I make my money working hard for a living. I don't plan on paying bills through YouTube. So now that we got that out of the way, we can kind of reflect a little bit on how we got here in 2022. Seems like everybody's doing a goals video. I really am not that type of person, but I'll give you a little bit of insight. So when we started, so this channel's only been up for about 4 months. When we started 2022, we were coming off of, let's see, we had probably about 6 months in 2021 where we made the transition from the management position I was in to RV single pulls, RV transport. We did single pulls starting out. That seems to be the way most people start out. If you're doing it with your own truck, they have the option to do drive away if you don't have the equipment to pull trailers. But I had a 1-ton F350. So started doing single pulls in 2020. And we did that for 6 months to the end of the year. And we did pretty good. And I don't remember exactly what that was. I was just trying to make sure this car ain't gonna slam out in front of me. So we did pretty good. We definitely made more in 2021 by jumping to the RV transport. There was a gentleman who asked a question the other day on the last video, and it's a great question. I said, I think it was a gentleman. Correct me if I'm wrong. I should say person, because I'm not looking at the name or nothing. They said, it's quite a leap from RV hotshot into a semi. Do you wish you would have made the jump earlier? That's a great question. When I started thinking about that, there's pros and cons to both sides of this, but we'll kind of go over how we got here. So we did that RV single poles. We did that for 6 months of 2021. We hit 2022. And a friend of mine asked me, well, what do you think? What is your idea for 2022? Going into 2022, we did that 6 months of 2021. Should correct that. And, I never really think about that stuff. So I thought, well, we should set some sort of a goal. As a business, you should have something to kind of reach for, a direction to go. So he said, I don't know, why don't we try to make, since it's business, let's try to make it financial. Let's try to make 50,000 more than we made last year. Which in 2021, I think we did 104. Which isn't crazy. I mean, it was all right for getting into the business, doing single poles. The downfall was there wasn't always an opportunity for a backhaul. So, and I ran a lot of West Coast. Like that was the majority I did. I did not like going east. I still don't like going east. Oh, where are we? Wow, look at that. Can't see your tack, and I can't see a speed I'm going to match RPMs. First time I've done that in a long time. But so our goal was 50,000 more. We were doing single poles. Wow, this place is busy for Monday. This is crazy. Sorry if I get distracted. It's just a lot going on right here. We were doing single poles, going out west. Once in a while, I would get a backhaul, but that was pretty rare. I could count maybe a handful of times that I got something to pull back, which sucked because you're coming back empty all the time. And granted, you get awesome fuel mileage just driving your pickup, but you're eating it. All that fuel home, you're eating it. And so we ran for about 6 months of 2022, still doing single poles. And the RV transport, if you're not familiar with that, it really started to die down. Things got really slow, and I was having troubles making ends meet. And I had a bed delete already on the truck, so I didn't have a bed. And I was toying with the idea of they offered a lease option on a flatbed, the car hauler type of a trailer finally took the leap and got into it towards the end of the year. I believe it was when did I do that? July? Be about right? Yeah. July, we got into the flatbed division. So what that allowed, you can do multiple RVs. You can haul multiple campers at a time coming out of the yard. And that also allowed for backhauls, cars. We hauled cars back a lot of times. We hauled boats, pickup boats. You know, that's in some of the videos, picking up boats out of Texas, bringing them up north and stuff. Was a little bit more weight on the truck. Definitely a different ball game because now instead of coming back with a pickup truck, which the freedom you had by doing single pulls was on your way home, there's always a place to park to do your break. You know, you want to roll through a drive-through and grab a bite to eat quick. You could do that. You know, the freedom was, you know, you're on vacation at that point. And now we got a trailer where we have to even empty coming back. You know, we're in the truck parking. With that trailer as a 53-foot trailer, you're not parking in the front of the truck stop where they have RV parking. You're just too big. You know, I was as long as semis with that. So I never had any grief. I heard of people kind of getting some heck for doing that, but as long as you have your wits about you and you're not being a jerk, you know, you're just as big as they are. You're a commercial vehicle. You have every right to be back there with them, with the big rigs. And if a guy's busting your nut about being in the back when you've got a 50-foot trailer, even when I pulled 45-foot trailers and 43-foot, you know, fifth wheels and all that stuff, I would park back there. It's just, that's too big of a unit to put in the front of a truck stop and RV parking. You know, it's way too big. And I've never had anybody say anything. You know, just be mindful about what you're doing. But so we did that, and right up until about October, so July to October, and things were getting rough, even on the flatbed division. You know, we were starting to slow down, even in the flatbed division. It kept me going. Excuse me. Single pulls were dying off, and guys were jumping ship left and right, and we were staying busy with the flatbed, so that kept us busy. And then that started to die off. If you see in the videos, we were pulling four units at a time, real tiny units. You know, they were throwing them in the yard left and right. But like I said in some of those videos, you know, when we're in there pulling 4 campers out at a time, this ain't gonna last very long. You know, we're gonna catch up. I pulled for Horizon, and Horizon has had one of the biggest driver fleets. You know, if it's not the biggest company, it was one of the biggest companies. I'm pretty sure they're the biggest company, but I heard they just bought Dynamic now too, which I'm surprised. You know, they're spending money when things are so slow right now. But I mean, it makes sense. When things go down, you either double down or get out. And you know, they're hedging the bet and they're doubling down. Good for them. But anyways, pulling those 4 units, and then it started getting to the point where, you know, I called dispatch and say, "Hey, I'm empty. What do you got? I'm on my way back." And even with that, I'm getting, "We don't have nothing." Are you kidding me? You know. So I started looking around, and I'm like, at some point in time, when you're running nothing but West Coast, you stack up so many miles on your vehicle, You know, a pickup truck really is not designed to do that. Uh, I can't ask any more of what that truck was able to do. And we put on, I bought the truck with 104,000 miles on it. We stopped at 375,000. So I put on 271,000 miles of just constant pulling. You know, really what that truck they say is meant to do. And it did good. It did real good. Ford really their butt when they got away from those international motors. Um, the problematic so the problematic 6.4, both made by International, both horrible motors for reliability. Um, you know, I had the 6.0 deleted. I had it fully rebuilt, you know, studded, the whole what they call bulletproofed, and you know, still had issues with it after that. It's just a bad motor if you don't. It's a bad motor to be pulling if you don't want to be stuck on the side of the road. There's always something that fails on it. Uh, that truck I have now is the new 6.7. It was the first year that they built that motor, is a 2011, and relatively no problems. Uh, put a turbo on at 296, 295, somewhere around there, um, which, I mean, you can't complain. How long do you expect parts to last? You know, about 50,000 miles after that, we had to put the new exhaust manifolds on because that motor has an issue with what is this? Plywood. That motor has an issue with the exhaust manifold studs back by the firewall tend to shear for some reason. And when they shear, you get a high pitched whistle because it's blowing the exhaust in between the exhaust manifold and the exhaust manifold gasket, and it's creating like a whistle sound. Which that's, you know, pulling the turbo, um, getting all that stuff out. Once you get the turbo out, it's relatively not that bad of a repair. I was able to do it all myself. I am mechanically inclined to be able to do stuff like that. We have videos on all that stuff. But other than that, we put new springs on the back because the springs are getting worn out. We had, what the heck is going on back here? Stuff falling out of my trash bag. But we had new springs, put new springs on, upgraded the springs a little bit in the back. We were on airbags too. Definitely needed because once you start stacking that 53-foot trailer on the back of that rig and you start putting vehicles and stuff like that, heavy stuff right up on the back of the truck, definitely a lot more wear and tear. But all in all, the truck did great. It was at that point that it's I either had to be looking at buying a new truck to keep doing RV transport. I was considering upgrading. I would have liked to get into a semi and kept doing RV transport. That probably would have been the route I went. Pulling multi-haul, you know, get into a semi because they were paying decent. You know, they're paying $320 a mile, which that's not bad. You know, it's almost what I make for doing this. And you know, those are relatively all lightweight outbounds. So for semi-load anyways. But with campers starting to slow down so much, that became almost an unviable option. It wasn't. The numbers weren't adding up with how much loads they were starting to have. Versus, okay, now you're going to get into something with a payment. A semi's not cheap, but if I'm going to tackle that, the freight had to be there. And the way I was looking at it and the number sheet that I have, where I track my monthly profits, we have a video on that as well, where I track the monthly profits. The numbers weren't there. You could see it was steadily going down. And it kind of gives you a little bit of foresight to say, hey, what do I need to do? Is this going to push through, or do we need to say no? And it's, time to go somewhere. And I made that decision that they were dying down, and it was an abnormal, they have slow times, but it was abnormally long. And I never saw an end in sight. Never heard anything good coming up saying, hey, this is the plan. So I was like, all right. So we ended up coming and getting this rig. This is a lease purchase with this company that I pull for. They deduct the money out of my settlements each week. I pay weekly on this truck. First time I've ever done anything like this, and I don't know, it doesn't seem too bad of a deal. It kind of helps me get out of the situation I was in and immediately rolling and making money. And that's what I needed. And this option allowed me to do that. So we have a 3-year, we have a set payment amount for X amount of dollars a week. And that goes for 3 years. And I think that's like 156 weeks. At the end of that, boom, title's mine, truck's mine. Seems like a relatively good company to work for. I haven't had any issues other than having to kind of rework how dispatch was trying to run the truck. At that point, I had to create an LLC because we had some tax obligations for the truck, the semi, and stuff like that. Which realistically, I wanted to do it anyways, and it kind of gives you a little bit of a cushion if anything bad were to happen. It all depends on what you're doing. Realistically, they can, if something crazy happens, you're pretty much on the hook. It's gonna help a little bit, but they can still push through any of that paperwork if they have to. So, but we set a goal. We'll go back. So that's kind of the background here to kind of how we got where we're at now. So at the end of 2021, we set that goal for, let's make $50,000 more gross than what I made the previous year. And for 2022, it looks like we almost hit that goal just doing RV transport alone. I know for sure we hit that goal. We exceeded that goal once we moved into this semi. Our 2021 goal for 2022 was 50,000 more. 2021, we made a little over 100,000. And our goal this year was to make 150. And I think we made 140 without looking at the numbers, just off the top of my head. Pretty sure we made about 140. just doing RV stuff. And I know we made, I think the last statement I seen was about 30 grand in the semi. So we're about 170 for 2022-ish. So we exceeded that. So if we continue that path, 2023, do we say we're going to make 50,000 more? Do we think that's realistic? Can we make 230? Or what is that? 220, sorry. Can we make 220? I think we can make 220. Easy. I think we can make more than that. If you run the numbers on a rig, you can make quite a bit of money gross. Now, your expenses are going to delegate how much of that you keep. And that is up to you as a business owner to keep those expenses down as low as you can. I'm probably going to be in the process of starting to cut some expenses down. I need to trim some stuff up just to give me a little bit of cushion. I don't like how tight things get sometimes. Look at this. This nice little change of road. Criminies. I don't like how tight things get sometimes, and I want to free that up a little bit. I don't like the idea of if something goes wrong, I'm in trouble. You know, I need to build that escrow account up, and stuff like that. So I think for a relatively safe goal, I think we can do the 50,000 again. Now, at a certain point in time, that's going to become a crazy high number. Years on down the road. If we do 220, that means next year it'd be 270. Okay. And then what? Then we're at 320, 370. It's just going to slowly climb each year we do that, which is at some point it's going to become unachievable with a one truck operation. So we may have to alter that goal, but I don't set a bunch of goals. I set one goal and try to stay focused. Keep your eye on the prize. I don't need 5 other directions I need to be wondering about, thinking, well, are we hitting this? Are we going to hit this? Keep it simple. This is a business. Business makes money. Our goal is to make more money each year. So 2023, our goal will be excuse me. I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit. I think once we have the truck paid off, if everything looks good financially, market-wise, we're going to have to make a list, and if everything checks off on the list, would that be time to go out and get our own authority and go on our own? California passed that AB5. If you haven't heard of AB5, that is the what do you want to call it, a bill or something, trying to prevent companies from employing drivers and claiming them as independent contractors even though they are operating company equipment and not bearing company expenses type of deal, just to kind of avoid taxes and run some loopholes and stuff like that. And if you know how California works, sometimes that stuff hangs out there and within a couple years starts to trickle out into the other states. So the way that's set up is the gist of it is basically you cannot contract with if you're an entity, you can't contract with another company that is in the same field as you. So independent contractor leased onto a carrier would be a no-go. You would have to become a owner operator under your own authority and find your own contracts, haul your own freight, and bear much more expense. Um, you know, your fuel discounts are probably going to be a lot lower. Your insurance might be higher. Um, so that's kind of the issues that you're facing with that. So kind of preparing myself for that a little bit. I'm just trying to cover our butt. I am not a fan of winter. So we'll see how that goes later on down the road. But for now, I think we got a good, safe 2023 goal set. And I don't see any issues barring us from hitting that unless something crazy happens. So let's talk about some of the benefits and the pros and cons. We talked about RV transport, how we got here. Um, the benefits, you know, the freedom you had. Even though Horizon was they were pretty particular with the type of equipment you ran and stuff like that, which is understandable. The freedoms you had were nice. And you know the cons were you were really limited. They really wanted you to haul campers, which is fine when they had them, but when they were slow, I kind of grabbed a flatbed and basically told them that, hey, when things are slow, I'm just going to start pulling cars. You know, not even come to the yards and pick up campers. They didn't seem too keen on that idea. Anytime I wanted to do something like that, the dispatchers are kind of hesitant on even calling on loads. And so that was kind of shitty, to be honest with you. Other than that, I mean, I didn't really have any beef or anything go wrong. I mean, I guess one thing to put as a con for that would be quality control coming out of the yards. How many times has any of these if you watch any of the RV transport channels, they go to the yard, they pick up a camper, the camper's got damage already sitting in the yard. The camper's got a flat tire sitting in the yard because they're picking up screws coming out of the factory. I picked up campers where the fireplace hasn't been mounted. You know, when I went inside to get the paperwork, the fireplace is laying on the floor in the yard already. You know, things like that are problematic when you go down. The yards are 24/7. You go down, you try to schedule your trip. You're going to get down there at 10 o'clock at night, grab your trailer, do your pre-trip pictures, and be on your way. You know, get a jump, get through Chicago, yada, yada, whatever. You get down there and you got problems like that, and now you got to wait. you sit and wait until the morning because you don't even know if you're going to pull the trailer now. Things like that happen quite often. And that is one big downfall. I don't know why the factories can't rein that in and get a hold on quality control. You know, that's been a big problem in the RV industry is the factory pushes out a mediocre product. You deliver it. The dealership gets pissed off because the product has so many problems. And at that point, you're kind of the face of the company. You're bringing them a brand new product that is messed up. And, you know, you kind of take the brunt of the heat on that because then they have to go through the unit with a fine-tooth comb, eating up on your time. You know, time is money in this business. And you spend a lot of time sitting waiting, especially when you're doing multiple trailers at a time. When I'm bringing 4 units to you and you take your sweet time rolling through each one of them, I've got 4 times the downtime just sitting there waiting. Granted, I've had some big fifth wheels that they took hours to go through. And that can get stressful because seems like when you're in that market, it's go, go, go. You know. So that is definitely a downfall. They need to rein that in for sure. And I think we made the right choice because I still follow some of them channels and you know, companies are shutting down, factories I hear are shutting down. Still, it's usually only about a 1 or 2 week slowdown period, and it's been months now that they're still not rolling. So they got hit pretty hard. That industry is almost dead right now. You know, until the economy picks back up, people start buying more units, then the factories start requesting, you know, new units to come in. So that's going to get a little goofy if that continues. But we definitely made the right choice. We've been able to consistently move freight with the semi. We have a much higher operating cost with the semi. Like I said before, it costs at least $1,000 to fill this truck up, and this lasts about 2 to 3 days, depending on how hard I'm running and the wind situation and stuff like that. The freight, you know, if we're getting, you know, this last run we did, the good week, you know, an average of $3.40 a loaded mile, which is about 20 cents more per mile than we would get coming out of the yards for campers. A little bit more money per mile, but not always. I mean, you can get your finger caught in a trap quick. You start taking the wrong loads, and you can make well below that, which with higher operating costs, you ain't going to be in this business very long. So we've been doing all right. So some more cons to this business. It's almost the same regulations. When you were hot shot, if you noticed my videos, I was getting targeted more by the DOT as a hot shot. I have yet to be pulled into a scale with the semi. I mean, I get pulled in, I get ran across the scale. I have yet for a guy to pull me over just going down the road and say, hey, we're going to do a level 1. They haven't tried that. Not yet, anyways. So, but we still have, I've got more weight restrictions. I'm dealing with a lot bigger equipment, tarping, things like that. Um, Granted, that's because I'm in a flatbed thing. I'm not running dry vans or reefers or anything like that. I know how to do that stuff. I honestly, I don't think I could make it right now in a dry van market. It sounds like they're pretty low per mile, like a buck something a mile average, and I can't cut that. That's way below my cost of operation right now. For me to pay myself my salary, for me to pay the bills I have already, on top of a truck payment for the new semi, I need to be doing. I'm able to make it with what I'm doing now, so I have a little bit more labor to do. The benefit, sleeping quarters. I actually have a bed. Sleeping in the back of a pickup truck, boy, does that wear you down after a while. Um, Especially if you have any height on you at all. 6 foot, I can barely fit in the back of that pickup. I would have to kind of sleep at an angle, my head back towards the back seat area on the passenger side, and if I tuck my feet up over by the driver's seat belt, I could fit in there and put my legs actually straight. Other than that, it was always sleeping. That does not feel good after a while. Changing clothes sucked in the truck, stuff like that. So semi, a ton more room. That's a game changer for sure. Much more comfortable air ride. So there's pros and cons to what I do now. Should I have done it earlier though? That's a good question. You know, I think I think if I would have been able to get my hands on a semi and keep doing multi-haul campers, that's probably what I would be doing right now and hauling cars back. If the market was still good, right? I was able to get into a bigger truck to have a little bit more room. Um, I'm not maxing the truck weight out all the time, so you're not running at full capacity all the time. Your equipment lasts longer, and the rates are decent. The only downfall we would have had would have been cars. Cars don't pay that well, and you can only get so many cars on that trailer, so you're you're really limited to how much money you can make on a backhaul. Where right now, no matter what I do, um, that's up between me and the broker to how much money we can get for each load. So if I think I would have stayed, I would have had to get into a bigger truck. I had to get a drink there. So would I have made the jump sooner? Probably not. I probably would have stayed. If I was able to get a bigger truck, I probably would have stayed. If the campers were going the way they were going before the slowdown, just left and right, you were rolling as hard as you could, and as soon as you got back, boom, you had more to go. It was endless. Um, In that scenario, yeah, I would have stayed. But we're here. We're here now, and I don't. Do I regret moving? I guess I don't regret it. Um, I have the ability to make more money doing this. Uh, they limited. You were maxed out. 320 miles was the max you were ever going to get coming out of that yard. Once in a while, they would kick out more, a little bit more, but for all general purposes, 320 miles the max you're going to get. Uh, coming out of the yards with campers, anyways, backhauls are up to you. Whatever you could find, but cars don't pay that great. Cars, when the market was decent, their cars were paying, 70 cents to a buck a mile. Some are paying a lot lower than 70 cents, for one car. So you could have 3 cars stacked on a trailer and only be making like a buck 80 a mile. We kind of set the bar at 60 cents, and anything below 60 cents, we weren't gonna touch it. So a buck 80 a mile wouldn't be crap. Um, so do I regret it? No, I don't regret it. I enjoy doing what I do. It's a lot of work. Having a background in it already made it a lot easier. If I had never driven semi before and hopped into it, this would have been a lot rougher of a transition. For you guys that are contemplating moving into a semi, or circumstances have it where you have to find something and this is something you're toying with, um, having a CDL is the best thing I've ever done in all of my career. I got my CDL when I was early 20s doing heavy equipment. I decided I want to go get it. I went and got it. And the benefits of having a CDL have always been there. Um, it's it's a backup. It's always been a backup plan for me to where no matter what I do, I have a clean driving record. Um, I don't get in trouble, all that stuff. I don't run into stuff. I don't damage, you know, things, trucks, equipment, things we haul. I've never had any issues. By having that sort of a record, I have such a good backup plan that if anything were to happen on any of my other jobs when I wasn't driving, before I even left that property, I could have a job the next day driving a truck if I needed it. And that is an awesome backup plan to have. And by having that sort of a record, it helps me. I can basically do anything. And I've always made good money trucking. That's how I bought my first house. I was trucking. Um, anytime I make the decision to go truck, pretty well financially. Now, granted, I've always been company driver, and right now would be a good time to be a company driver. I would be making thousands a week, but and I've already had this argument. That's not It's not what I'm trying to do this time around. I'm not trying to keep working for somebody with no end in sight. This guy's got a little road sprayer cleaning that off. And this is going to tag back into our goals, right? At some point in time, I'm going to get my own authority. At some point in time, I'm going to have a goal that is unreachable for a one truck operation. At some point in time, I'm going to have to expand if I want to keep reaching my goals and I want to have a good quality of life. So, what does that say for the future? For the future, you can't be a company driver doing all that, right? I need to be in charge, running it. I need to have the room to grow. I need to learn all of the ins and outs of this business. And that is from taxes to equipment maintenance, um, IFTA. There's so many aspects of this business that as a company driver, you don't have a clue about. And starting to get my feet wet by being a lease, purchase, owner operator. And kind of learning that a little bit. I think that's probably the safest way to get into this in my situation without jumping headfirst and not knowing what I'm getting myself into. So where do I see it? And so I don't plan on making any moves until at least this truck is paid off. And we have a nice nest egg sitting in the bank, to where if anything comes up, we're covered. You're going to have stuff come up all the time. That's the game we're in. We're stacking miles left and right. But eventually we will have to add a truck. We go out on our own. We do that for a little bit. And we build up a good build up a good report on under our own MC, our own operating authority. Okay, so we get that set. We build that up. Hall and Cash had mentioned that if you've got 90 within your first 90 days of having a new operating authority, it's going to be tough. It's going to be real tough hauling loads. A lot of brokers can't touch you until you've got at least your 90 days in, which is understandable. But here's what's going to benefit me. If I'm out here running loads right now, and if I can build relationships with brokers and I can prove to them that I am not a problematic driver, it is not going to be an issue putting stuff on my trailers, right? When I go to get my own authority, maybe that'll help me when I talk to that broker again and say, hey, this is so and so. I am running under my new operating authority now. I am on my own. And I'm calling about this load going from A to B. He's either going to tell me, hey, man, our insurance is going to give us a problem on this. We'll have to wait. Or who knows? Maybe it'll help. I don't know yet. We're learning. But I don't think it's a bad way to go. So we build a good report. We're going to have to truck under our own authority for a while. We're going to have that nest egg sitting there. And there's going to be a time where we're going to have to buy another truck. Or we can buy a trailer and have a guy that has his own truck come pull our trailer, and we take a percentage. Or, in a perfect world, we buy a truck and a trailer, and then we put a company driver in it. We pay him X amount of dollars, and we take the profits off of that, and we have 2 trucks now running. Where one truck breaks down, the other truck can help pay for the repairs on that, continually bringing in income. If you're following where we're going with this, and eventually it's going to have to grow to 3 trucks, 4 trucks, 10 trucks. There's going to come a time when we got so many trucks, there's a time where you're going to have to cut it off, and I'm going to have to get off the road. And that is kind of our goal. Our goal is to build something where I don't have to drive anymore. Right? That's our end goal. Build something. We're going to build a company. We're going to build an empire. Right? Cents per mile going to be the new orange trucks rolling down the road in 20 years? I don't know. But you got to have something to reach for. And continually pushing year after year to grow, make more money, grow, make more money, grow, make more money. Do what you got to do. And if I can help some of you guys along the way and you can come along on the trip, that's cool. But we have a goal, and that's kind of our mindset, and it's going to be slow going. We don't want to rush into it. We want to take it nice and slow. Try to make the least amount of mistakes as possible. Mistakes will be made. I guarantee you that. But if you learn from your mistakes, try not to make the mistakes again. It's pretty hard to fail in this business. As long as you are not repeatedly doing the same stuff over and over again that did not work before. Keep learning. Every day I learn something new. I'm always digging into stuff. What is this? How does this work? Things like that. And eventually, everything will start to click. And I really don't jump into so much of like, oh, you need this equipment, you need this, you need this, you need this, you need this. I could care less if you're driving a Freightliner or a Volvo, 379P. I don't, Kenworth W900. I could care less what you're driving. Your operating costs are going to vary, each truck. The best fuel mileage you can get is obviously better. But that's on you. If you want to run a certain truck because you get this, that's fine, as long as you're doing your thing. If I want to run a certain truck, that's cool. I just got to base my numbers off of what I'm doing and make sure that everything is making sense and it's going to work. And if things aren't going to work, you need to do something different. You need to cut ties. You need to change something. And as long as you're able to move, keep learning, understand what happened, and understand how to not do that again, I don't think you can fail in this business. Outside of a crazy circumstance, something just off the wall, you buy a truck and 2 weeks later the motor blows up. Like, my goodness, it's almost impossible to rectify that. But This country is based off of consumer goods. This is a consuming country. Everything you have, the computer you're watching this on, the phone you're watching this on, the seat you're sitting in, the soda in your hand, the fuel in your vehicle, every single thing in this country moves by truck. It got to you, it was on a truck at some point. The toothbrush you brush your teeth with, every single thing in your house has been on a truck at some point. Even if they move it by boat or rail yard, it has to get off of that and get onto a truck. Okay? When you have that much of your entire country vested into an industry, there will always be a need for that. You will not get away from it. Now, I know they come along with these electric trucks, which is fine and dandy. Do I think our power grid is there right now? No. To support a mass amount of that? No. If you live in California, how many times are you not allowed to run your air conditioner? Because the power grid's dropping down. If you want to make all electric cars and electric trucks, how many times do you pull into a truck stop and there's nowhere to park? Because there's so many trucks in there all at the same time. All those trucks plugging in at the same time, if they were all electric, what type of a surge that would take? What about the guys that when you pull into a truck stop and you're regulated to shut down because you're out of hours, but there's no parking stalls, so you park along the scale? Think there's going to be a charging station there? Probably not. So you're not going to have a charged truck for the morning. So you're going to have to wait till somebody gets up and leaves to go put it in a hole to sit longer and charge. Right? Everybody gets home at the basic same time. You have rush hour. Everybody's getting home 5, 6 o'clock. Everybody's going to plug in their vehicle at home. Roughly around the same time. Do you think that can hold it? I don't think that can hold it. It's kind of a pipe dream right now. I understand you can do it in certain areas, and Pepsi's going to do it, and they have a number of amount of trucks, which is fine. You're helping a little bit there, but this industry is going to be around for a long, long time. You're going to need drivers. You're going to need drivers that know what they're doing, not kids coming into the industry because their Ivy League degree didn't pan out for them, or their art degree isn't what they thought it would be. So now they're hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt coming into the world of trucking because you have YouTube guys on here claiming that they make X amount of dollars and oh my God, they're getting rich. So when you have kids come in here and they don't know what they're doing and they run into stuff and they kill people, and then we just get more and more regulation because of an uneducated workforce. And that's a big problem that needs to be addressed. But I'm not going to rant on that anymore. Usually when I see stuff like that online, I just roll right on past it. But today is not anything I wanted to show you that's clickbaity. Nothing crazy. just wanted to go over some stuff with you guys, kind of what my ideas are, because I do get my share of trolls that, you know, I do get my share of trolls that, um, think that their ideas and what they do has any effect on me or my business. They're everywhere. That boy's cruising up there. But just so we have an idea of the differences, why am I an owner operator right now in a bad market? Why am I not a company driver if I can make more money right now? Um, why do I not job hop? There's guys that job hop. They'll hop company to company. Now I get it if you get into a bad company and you realize something's wrong. If you got to move, you got to move. But try to do as much research as you can before you go in to that company. YouTube is an awesome tool. Little known fact, I actually learned how to drive an 18-speed transmission on YouTube. When I went to get my CDL, I was taught on a 10-speed manual. I did a slam dunk 2-week course. Wham, bam, done. I got my CDL. And when I went to go get a job where I had a truck that I was proposed to get into and had an 18-speed, your eyes kind of light up big and you're like, uh-oh. So YouTube, it was. And I learned how to drive an 18-speed on YouTube, and I learned a lot of stuff on YouTube. There's a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of clickbait, and you got to be careful. Just wanted to give you the heads up, kind of what my plans are, where I'm coming from. If you like it, you don't like it, hey, that's on you. This is what we're doing. And where I'd like to see this company go eventually. We're not rushing there, but kind of the plan. And, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I answer, I check comments, I answer comments as much as I can. I am out here running a business, so sometimes it takes a little bit, but I'm usually pretty good with that. And, eventually maybe we'll do a live if we can build up enough subs to, get people to come in. If you got questions, I can answer them right off the top, and kind of do that sort of a thing. I'm cool with doing stuff like that. But I think we're just going to push on down the road here. We got a little ways to go. We got about 3 hours left of the day. Like I said, it's going to be a short day. And I haven't even looked at, I've been looking at the load board of there's some stuff around there, nothing crazy for a reload. It's going to be a short week considering we're not unloading until Tuesday morning. I don't know why we have to have Monday off. The holiday was on Saturday. Sunday should be your recovery day. Monday should be back to work. Let's get this damn economy going again. Let's get back to where we were. Some hardworking folks making shit happen. That's where we need to be. But it's going to be a short week. I got to be home this weekend. I'm getting antsy. I've been in the truck too long right now. And I am toying with the idea, if we don't have anything crazy, toying with the idea of taking this other load, which would require me to go back to the yard and snag a step deck. Something we haven't done on the channel yet. Paying decent. But I don't know. We'll see what we got going on. But we're going to kick it on down the road here. A couple channels to check out if you're still with me. Haulin' Cash, HAULINCASH. Gentleman down in Texas. Great info. I've learned so much stuff from that channel. It is unbelievable. I do a little entertainment. Cash is King. He's fun for entertainment. He's partnered along with DIY Semi. DIY's got a lot of good info. Some of his videos. He's a very knowledgeable guy. Learned a little bit from him lately too. And you know, just kind of be mindful of the stuff you're watching. You might get down a hole that you get trapped into on YouTube where feed you full of bullshit, basically. You know, if they're telling you, hey, come apply here and use my code, I am automatically say bullshit. You're trying to make money off the driver referrals. Why are you doing that? You know, if you're going to do that, go be a recruiter. But it is what it is. So we're going to get on down the road here. And if you have any questions, comments, leave them down below. I'll get to them eventually. And if you're planning on coming out here, just remember, no time is a good time. It's going to be up to you on what you do with it. No matter what you do, there's always going to be problems, and it's up to you at how you take care of that situation. So I'll catch you guys later.